What's up, guys? We are on our way outside. Yesterday we started working on the orchard area finally. I know it's been like, I don't know, many months, probably 8 months since I started buying my fruit trees for the orchard area. It's been a year since I bought some of these fruit trees that's already been in the ground over here, but we just haven't had the time. But I'm so excited that now, well, actually we started yesterday. I didn't record anything, but we started getting the T-post in the ground to build this fence area. So as you can see, we're going to connect it with our front entrance right here. And then my son already put all of the T-posts, and it's going slanted. So it is starts narrow up here because we wanted to utilize this post that's already here. And then it's going to go longer. We didn't get to do the wooden post yesterday because we ran out of daylight, as well as we couldn't find our post hole digger, but we just got one. So we're going to start digging holes, and we also have to get the fence from the other side. We have a roll of fence. That we use to build this gate here that divides the animal side from our backyard side, and it's sitting on the ground over here. So I think my son is going to pick up this roll. Then we'll finally be able to take down this Premier One fencing. It's not electrified right now. We just have it up to keep the dogs from coming over here messing with the ducks and keep the ducks safe. But I am going to keep the ducks on this side. They'll just have a much bigger area to roam. And all of my fruit trees that are in the garden are going to come over here, and we're going to have them separated. Right now the fruit trees are in here, all the fruit trees that I bought from the farm store when we moved in here last year. So right here we have 3 plums, we have 5 apple trees right there that are doing the best. We have one, I think this is a plum, nope, a pear. So we have 1 pear, 5 apples, 3 plums, and 4 peaches that are all from the farm store. I do want to come in here and make sure that these peaches, plum, or the peaches and the plum that don't have leaves on them, I want to kind of snap a branch in half and make sure they're still alive. Well, yeah, this one is still. So if you break a branch in half and it's still green in there and fresh, then it is alive. We had a problem with our goats kept escaping from the other side, and so the goats were really the ones that demolished these peach leaves, and so I wasn't sure if they were still alive, but it looks like that one that I checked is definitely still alive. So now we're going to walk over to the garden side to get the fruit trees. My daughters are going to help me bring the fruit trees and set them out over on the orchard side. I don't know if we'll get to plant any, probably not, because we'll probably just be focusing on just getting the fence up today. We did go to Tractor Supply yesterday and we got our entrance gate. So that is a 4-foot wide gate because our entrance is going to be 4 foot wide. Oh, I want to show you. Yesterday I saw that this rose bloomed for the first time. It is absolutely beautiful. We also put down another layer of landscape fabric. We already had this side, and then yesterday we finally got this other side stapled in, which is awesome. Then we started laying down the landscape fabric up here. This is where we have the blueberries that are in ground. I got these from the farm store as well, and they're the first things that I ended up planting here. And then I laid down, this is a 3-foot landscape fabric. I didn't finish because there were big ant piles here yesterday, and so I kind of knocked them down. Yeah, they're still active in there. And so I was just trying to get the ant piles. I didn't want to put anything on them, but I did want to flatten the ant piles before we continued laying down the landscape fabric up here, or I guess back here. I have been thinking about putting some fruit trees maybe in the middle of where I have the blueberry plants. So I think I have 8 blueberry plants lined up here. And I had thought about putting at least 4 fruit trees up here, but I'm not sure. Right now, what we're going to do, I have my girls finding all of the apple trees, and I'm going to see how many apple trees I have and get them ready to be moved to the orchard area. So my daughter's just separated. We have 21 apple trees, which obviously I didn't count when I was buying apple trees. I got my apple trees, some from Stark Brothers and then some from Tai, Georgia. So now I'm going to separate the kinds that I have. So this is a Arkansas Black, and this is a semi-dwarf. I have Red Fuji, Lottie Apple, Granny Smiths. I know I have a couple Granny Smiths. That's another Arkansas Black. I have a Jonathan Apple. That one's a Honey Crisp, Pristine. There's a Golden Delicious, Honey Crisp. And then I have a Crab Apple. So a Crab Apple, and then the Johnny Red Apple, if I'm not mistaken, are pollinator trees that I got for some of the other apple trees. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, kind of like the Golden Delicious, I feel like I've read is a good pollinator for lots of apples. And then I also have already over there some Anna, which I know is a good pollinator for most other apple trees. And so I'm going to go through here and see how many different varieties, set them up together, because I know I have 2 Arkansas Black, 2 Granny Smith, at least 2 Golden Delicious, because those are our favorite apples. And then I probably just got 1 of everything else. While my son is working on getting the post dug, my daughters and I started setting out all of the fruit trees, trying to line them up to where we wanted them. I didn't know how many fruit trees I was going to be able to fit, so I was just marking and analyzing to see where I wanted to put the trees. So what I've done so far is bring out some of the apples, some of the plums, and some of the pears, and sat them in the place that I wanted them to be. So I already had 5 apples planted, and let me see if I can go and show you. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I planted them 6 feet apart because I want to keep them fairly small. And so I have 1 here, 1 here, here, like kind of like a triangle effect. And so what I did was the next row would be with the one in the first, and then this one would be the one with the first. So I have 3 rows, actually 4 rows of apples, because our gate is going, or our fence is going to be right here, and so I could fit another row of apples. So right now there would be 12 apple trees here. And then what I did with the plums, because this right here is going to be the opening of the orchard, so I don't want any trees there, because I am going to have a cattle panel going across to have a grapevine on each side. So this plum will go lined up with 3 street plums, and then I'll have 2 other plums over here. So I'll have 6 plums here. And then that was a pear that I had already planted that I got from the farm store, but they only had 1. And so I ended up buying other pear trees. So right now I have 6 pear trees. So there's 1 there, there, there. So 6 pear trees, 6 plum trees. And I didn't buy any more peaches, so I'll stay with the 4 peaches. Now I do have 2 cherries over there and about 4 more pears, but I'm not going to set them out right now because they would be in this wide open area, and I'm not sure on the progress we're going to get with the fencing today, and I don't want to sit them out unless I know that they're going to be safe from the dogs. So originally the fencing I was going to use is this field fencing, but it's 4-inch wide holes, And our chickens and turkey doesn't get out because they're in the Premier 1 fence, which the holes are smaller, but they could get through this hole, and we just tried one of our smaller ducks, and the duck could be able to get through here as well, which means that they wouldn't be safe from the dogs if they got out. And we do have dogs that are, some dogs that are not farm dogs, and so if they got free on this side, they would, and the dogs was out, they could be attacked by a dog. So instead we have this leftover fencing that we use to build the, what is it called? The Justin Road, the chicken tractor. So we had this, and it was long enough to go towards the gate, and my husband told me we had another roll of this to make the holes much smaller. This wasn't what I was thinking, but it would be able to keep our ducks safe. We have our first hole dug for our next apple tree, which is a crab apple tree. But as you can see, the middle of the roots are fairly dry, and so my daughter's going to go turn on the hose so we can water inside, water this really well before we put it in here. This is fairly thick clay soil, so I'm probably going to add in some I have a bag of potting soil over there, and so I'm probably going to bring it over and mix in this clay soil with this potting soil. I did use, I think, either, what was it called? I can't remember the name of potting soil I used, and so it was a cocoa core base, and so that's why it's really brown. I didn't fertilize any of my other fruit trees before I planted them in, but I think I did mix in black cow with them. I don't have any black cow at the moment, and so I'm just going to go get that potting soil, have my daughter water in this tree, and then we'll plant it back. My husband, once he finished working, he came out and started helping us dig holes so that he can attach the gate. He's the one who has attached all of our other gates, so he was familiar with the process. And so I was very grateful to have him available to help us get the gate attached while he's working on digging the other posts. My girls and I were busy planting fruit trees. I think we got 4 fruit trees planted up until this point. Having the ducks in this area has definitely made the soil so much easier to dig these fruit trees because the soil was much moist, where when we first tried to dig these fruit trees, we stopped even though we had our fruit trees already in because the ground was so hard. But having the ducks over here has really helped soften the soil as they fertilize it, and then just dumping water, and so it's just really made the ground so much easier to dig, which I appreciate so much. I've talked about before how we had this property forest mulched, and so that's where all of these wood chips come from, and how certain spots are lower and uneven, which we applied the wood chips in certain spots. I had the company put more wood chips towards spots that were lower, and I want to show you a spot that was super low because the wood chips go super deep. So we're digging this spot for this apple tree, and I have yet to hit soil. This is probably a foot down, and it's still mostly wood chips. There's probably an inch or two right at the base, that soil, but from about here up, which I would say was probably closer to 8 maybe inches of just wood chips. So this was a super low area. I can see one of the spots where I planted this fruit tree right here was a low spot which had lots of wood chips, and you can see it has sunken in over time, as well as this one. And so what I was doing with these fruit trees is building them up a little higher than what soil or this level was with the wood chips. And I used the regular clay soil. Then I put cardboard boxes around it, and you can see a better picture here where then I put potting soil on top of the cardboard box and then put the wood chips around it to try to make it more elevated more. We just finished this one and I did the same thing. So there is, I buried it with its regular clay soil. Then it was still super low. I put the cardboard on top, put some more potting soil on top to make it even flush with these wood chips, and then I put wood chips around it because I didn't do that for these apple trees here. And as you can see, lots of grass is growing because this was a higher spot because there were pine trees here, and so this was a really high spot, and so there weren't a lot of wood chips here, whereas other areas, majority of this area right here towards the back is still completely wood chips and doesn't have a lot of weeds, whereas this front area right here where there were more pine trees and it was higher, there's grass because there was less wood chips, where here there's like a 6 inches of wood chips, so no grass growing. So I want to protect these trees from weeds growing like I didn't do these, and which I will go ahead and put some cardboard around these trees. My daughters went and got some cardboard from out the house, and then we have our wood chip pile right there, and add the wood chips around those trees to stop the weeds from growing around these fruit trees. Right now you can see that these apple trees aren't fazed by it, but I don't want grass growing around my fruit trees and stealing nutrients. So we're just trying to fit the fence and see how it's lining up. My husband and son already got the gate put in, which is so nice. It's already starting to look like an orchard over here, and it'll be protected. I went ahead and brought over these 2 by 2 feet beds because this is going to be at the opening of this gate right here is going to be a grapevine here and a grapevine here with an cattle panel arch, so that grapevines is growing above this entrance. I think that would look really pretty on my other entrance in my garden area. I have non or thornless roses. It's called Belinda's Blush, but here I figured having grapevines over here, especially coming in, having them dangle when they start producing grapes would be really pretty. And so this is where I'm going to use those forever garden beds. I'm not going to plant the grapevines directly into the ground. So all of the trees that had grass growing around them, we did put some cardboard around them. I put cardboard around them, and then my girls just brought some wood chips. We need a little bit more cardboard around here to widen the area. I want the area to be fairly wide because this grass is really thick. I don't have any T-posts, and so I'm not going to, I would have my girls start filling these containers with wood chips so then I could put soil in it, but I don't have any more T-posts. We just bought enough T-posts to enclose this area. We have about an hour and a half left of daylight before the sun goes down and it's completely dark out here. It's so crazy because it's still early, but at 5:30 it's completely dark. So we're trying to get the last post dug so that we could put up the fence, because I do want this fence to be completely up before we go to bed tonight, so that tomorrow, even if we just have to tomorrow maybe put some more staples in the fence or on the T-post, but for the most part I want to make sure that the ducks are protected because we already took down the perimeter 1 fencing. We're losing daylight, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, but we have one side of the fence up into the gate, and then now my son is working on unrolling the other fence so that we can get it stretched the other way, which is not as long. It's just probably 1/3 of the fence we already stretched, but we are going to go ahead and I will show you guys the end result tomorrow. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.